Ever catch yourself wondering why some words from a guy feel off, even if they sound harmless or sweet on the surface? Those phrases might seem innocent, but they can hide manipulative intentions, dodge emotional responsibility, or signal someone who's stuck, refusing to grow. For women, missing these signs can lead to relationships that sap your energy, cloud your clarity, and pull you away from your inner strength. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, talked about the shadow, a hidden part of our psyche where we tuck away traits we don't want to face, often projecting them onto others in relationships. That's where toxic patterns take hold. Spotting these phrases early can save you from emotional chaos down the road. This isn't just about dodging arguments. It's about seeing the psychological games behind everyday words that could cost you your peace. In this video, I'll break down 5 phrases that should make you pause if a man says them. These aren't just words. They're warning signs of deeper issues. As Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "Life isn't short. We just waste it on the wrong people." And trust me, no woman who's worked hard to build her confidence and calm should put up with dynamics that tear her down. Stick with me, because I'm not just pointing out these red flags. I'll show you how to respond with strength, emotional smarts, and without losing your center. Let's dive in. 1. You have to accept me as I am. This might sound like a guy being real or vulnerable at first, but hold up, when it's used to brush off bad behavior, it's a major red flag. Jung taught that true wisdom starts with owning your shadow, facing the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. But when a guy says this to dodge accountability, think emotional manipulation, sidestepping responsibility, or passive-aggressive jabs, he's not being authentic. He's refusing to grow. You'll hear this line after you've called out something hurtful, like him dismissing your feelings or avoiding tough talks. Instead of listening, he flips it, acting like you're the problem for wanting better. Here's the deal. Accepting someone doesn't mean swallowing what's unacceptable. Real authenticity is about having the guts to evolve, not staying stuck. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic, said character is about living each day fully, without excuses or pretense. A woman who's committed to her growth shouldn't be stuck carrying a guy who won't budge. Being with someone like that is like dragging a heavy load uphill while they sit back, unbothered. If you buy into this phrase without pushing back, you're signing up for a cycle of excuses, broken promises, and doing all the emotional heavy lifting. So, when you hear this, don't fall for the deep vibe. Ask yourself, is he open to looking at himself, or is this just a fancy way to avoid change? If he's dodging responsibility and shutting down growth, you're seeing a pattern that'll only get worse. Protect your peace. It's not selfish, it's self-care. You're not here to fix anyone. You're here to share your life with someone who grows alongside you, who owns their flaws like you do. 2. All my exes were crazy or toxic. 3. When a guy drops this line, it might feel like he's just venting about his past, but don't be fooled. It's a flashing sign of emotional immaturity and projection. Stoic philosophy, like Epictetus taught, says it's not events that mess us up, but how we interpret them. If a guy blames every ex for his failed relationships without ever mentioning his own role, he's dodging self-reflection. Jung's shadow comes into play here. What we don't face in ourselves controls us. A guy who trashes all his exes is likely projecting his own unresolved issues, painting himself as the victim to avoid looking in the mirror. This mindset screams chronic victimhood. Someone who always points the finger elsewhere rarely owns their actions. They'll spin a tale of being wronged, expecting you to be the one who finally gets them. But here's the catch. If every ex was the problem, what's the common thread? Spoiler, it's him. A woman who knows her worth needs to ask, is it really possible all his exes were toxic, or is he blind to his own patterns? Jung said what we deny controls us, and pairing up with someone who shirks emotional responsibility is like building on quicksand. No matter how hard you try, the relationship will sink under the weight of his unacknowledged flaws. Worse, that story he tells about his exes? You might be the next chapter, labeled crazy when things go south. Being with someone like this is like rowing a leaking boat. You're pouring in love, but it's never enough. Look past the words. Does he ever talk about what he did wrong in past relationships, or is it all about what was done to him? If he's never owned up before, don't expect him to start now. You're not his therapist, here to patch up someone who won't heal. You're here for a partner who walks beside you, not drags you into their drama. Emotional discipline means seeing the pattern and stepping away before you're caught in it. 3. If you really loved me, you'd do what I ask. This phrase might sound like a plea for connection, but it's a sneaky trap, one of the worst kinds of emotional blackmail. It looks like love on the surface, but it's really about control, using your feelings to pressure you. The Stoics believed love should be chosen freely, built on mutual respect, not guilt or force. Epictetus said no one can emotionally trap you unless you let them. This line draws a line in the sand. Prove your love by doing what I want. That's not love, it's manipulation. Jung talked about power dynamics in relationships, how people hide insecurity or control behind a mask of affection. When a guy says this, he's tying your worth to his demands, making you feel like love depends on giving in. A woman with emotional clarity sees the difference between a fair request and a disguised demand. Giving in might feel loving at first, but over time, you lose pieces of yourself, your boundaries, your authenticity, your power. It starts small, like a test of your feelings, but soon it's a cycle of emotional submission. You end up wondering if you're acting out of love or fear of losing him. That's the danger. This phrase doesn't build connection, it erodes it. If you hear this, pause. You're not here to bend to someone's will at the cost of your truth. A guy who loves you doesn't guilt-trip you into compliance. He listens, respects your boundaries, and values you even in disagreement. Stoics and Jung agree, real love is about shared freedom, not control dressed up as care. Stand firm in your values, even when emotions pull you to give in. Every time you compromise your truth to avoid conflict, you drift further from who you are. A wise woman knows not every fight is worth having, but those that chip away at your will aren't worth starting. Say no to guilt games, and choose relationships where you can grow without conditions. 4. You're not enough for me. Hearing this from someone who claims to love you can hit like a gut punch. It's not just hurtful, it's a direct attack on your worth, your identity, your essence. Jung explained that people often project their own dissatisfaction onto others, and this phrase is a textbook example. When a guy says this, he's not really talking about you. He's revealing his own emptiness, unrealistic expectations, or need to control. By making you feel small, he's trying to keep you chasing his approval, dependent on his validation. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic, said your worth comes from your actions, your virtue, not someone else's opinion. This phrase is designed to make you doubt what you know about yourself, to keep you scrambling to prove you're enough. But the goalpost keeps moving. Today it's one flaw, tomorrow another, until you're exhausted, questioning truths you once held firm. A woman who's worked on her confidence doesn't need to beg for love or prove her value. You're not here to fit someone's shifting standards. You're here for a partner who sees your worth and pushes you to grow, not shrink. If you hear this, take a deep breath and remember who you are. Don't fall into the trap of trying to be more for someone who can't see all you already are. That insecurity is his, not yours. Jung said you can't make someone see your light if they're stuck in their shadows. Stoics would add that your peace is worth more than chasing someone's approval. True confidence comes from trusting your own values, not chasing external validation. Walk away from anyone who tries to define your worth through their own flaws. It's not about you. It's about their need to feel bigger by making you feel small. Your value isn't up for debate, especially not by someone blind to your greatness. 5. Do whatever you want. When a guy says this with a passive-aggressive edge, think sarcasm, coldness, or resentment, it's not about giving you freedom. It's a trap to make you feel guilty for choosing yourself. He's not letting go of control. He's hiding manipulation behind fake permission. Jung talked about how people use their shadow to control others indirectly, and this phrase is a prime example. He's not saying what he means, expecting you to guess his feelings. If you don't, you get guilt, drama, or blame. Seneca, the Stoic, said clear communication is the foundation of healthy relationships. When someone speaks in riddles or double meanings, they're not connecting, they're manipulating. This phrase puts you in a fog of uncertainty, making you second-guess yourself to avoid their reaction. Over time, you're living by their emotions, not your own, and your peace starts to crumble. A woman with emotional intelligence doesn't play these games. If you hear, do whatever you want, take it literally. Act on your truth without fear or over-explaining. That breaks the manipulation cycle, forcing them to either be direct or deal with their own silence. You're not here for emotional chess matches. Both Jung and the Stoics teach that clarity and authenticity lead to freedom. Responding with strength or walking away from vague, manipulative talk isn't cold, it's smart. It draws a line. You won't let anyone toy with your emotions. A guy who values you speaks clearly, not in codes meant to confuse. Healthy love is transparent, built on harmony between your thoughts, words, and actions. These phrases, harmless as they seem, are warning signs. Spot them early, and you protect your energy, focus, and essence. Jung and Stoic wisdom urge us to see the pattern, not just the moment, and choose relationships that honor your truth. It's not about judging others, it's about walking away before you betray yourself.